kind of blown away by the idea, because it just seemed to me that as the year progressed, we needed to do something for our kids. And we were looking for a way to figure out what that was. And so their idea was phenomenal. I took it to teachers. They felt exactly as I did. And then I took it to parent council, and they actually made the decision to do the project.
Mother Nature is a big force. We cannot control her, but we can honor her, and in times of overflow, learn to come together as a community to live a life of balance.
It's too bad that we have to miss our grade 6 grad. Enough! We can! Yes! Got this under control. You there, position! Gonna pack my paw and I'm gonna pack my hand. Gonna take it down to the Cadillac Red.
I guess the idea began at the dinner table on a napkin back in December, and then it rolled out to one or two teachers and the principal, and then to the school council, and then we had this idea that we needed to get some community people in the driver's seat on several key areas.
Yeah, we felt, because of the scale of the project, creating the archives, gathering all the interview footage, just a lot more involvement from the school up front, that it would be beneficial to have 3 or 4 people who were key people on the team who would help manage those things. And that was a huge contributor to the success of the project.
We made a practice of meeting every week, didn't we? Because as each of those volunteer organizers started to ply away in their areas, things got more complicated, more people got involved, and it became really important that we came together to put everything back on the same page.
As the photos started to come in, I realized after a little bit that the picnic table that we had some of those meetings on was underwater in some of the photos.
That's right.
So it really brought it home. And the canoes the canoes and the kayaks and the rafts, the pictures of those going by the same picnic tables.
That's it.
So yeah, definitely
Exactly.
brought home the whole experience as being quite real for everyone involved.
Be at one with the universe despite what's going on in the community. Yes, like all the yoga mums in Sunnyside. Feel that inner self. And now, with the ringing of this bell, we will take a Shavasana. What's going on? not going to run around screaming and making faces at people? No. Of course not. Good. I will be right back.
In the usual pattern of a residency, we're in the school for a week. One of the biggest differences in this one was, of course, this 2-month story gathering component, interviewing people, gathering video, having people submit stuff. And in the end, we would not have created the same show had we not done that process, because it allows us to see a much better sense of the detail inherent in the story by that gathering, and make it more truly reflective of that group's experience.
When we went to the market, that was different, wasn't it? We actually took the show to the information gathering to the people.
Right, and set up a booth and just said, can you tell us your story, and on the spot, and that worked quite well.
Yeah.
There were lots of stories that came out of that.
Yep. There was the woman who gave birth to a lovely child in the middle of the flood.
In a bathtub.
In a bathtub.
Which made it into the show.
A baby in a bathtub? You're right, during the flood there was a family who got stuck at home, couldn't go to the hospital, so they had their baby in a bathtub. Here it is. Oh, what a cute little baby.
One of the components that I liked was having all the kids draw pictures of their experience in the flood, and taking that now, one of the components of the archive will be to take those pictures and overlay them with interviews of the kids, so they actually talk about those experiences. And I think that'll be a great thing to be looked at in the future as well.
Are you guys ready to clean up the streets of Sunnyside? Yes! Get to it! Real nice. The streets are a bit more clean. Can we turn on those street lights now? Oh, beautiful volunteers. But our work has just begun. You guys ready to bulldoze all this debris?
Yes, sir!
Okay, start your engines, guys. Volunteers ready?
Yes, sir!
Oh, what keeners. Okay, guys, you've worked really hard to the point of tears at times. So I think we need a break at the Crisis Cafe.
Hey, we're not finished yet, Bob!
Oh, sorry. We did not practice it that hard. And scoop the mop, scoop the mop, scoop the mop. Hey, we got power back. The lights are turning on. 4th Street's got power, and 5th Street, and 5A Street. Good work, you guys.
The other thing is that as a company of visual and physical theater, for us the image is one of the core components. So when we mapped out this project, we map out the story components like the fact that people were billeted, what will the city do in the future, what was the role of the Crisis Cafe, so how did it help organize the community. So as we start to map out, these are the components we're going to look at, and even that in itself was a reflection of how the community wanted the story told. We realized really early because of that process that the community wanted to focus on social capital and not so much on the crisis of the flood itself. So we had to figure out where are those social capital stories in there, and what's the imagery that goes with it. So then we go back and say, well, how do we support that imagery? What kind of props are going to be used to create that? And so in this case, we thought we could add to that. And so again, we had the time, because of that whole expanded component, to say let's add like the giant Lycra Lake, as the face of the water, and to add the ladders because we wanted to get up above and look down on the flood, and the projections on the boots. The boots were such an iconic image that we thought we had to bring them in. So we created the rubber boot armies, and we created the big 6-foot-high boots that we could project upon, so that we could actually take images of the flood. And all of those were new. And so we'll take those styles now and use them in subsequent residencies in whatever way. But so that's a great gift to us. We ended up with some great new ways to play.
Follow me. Wait! This never happened. That's how I get the ladies. There's so much traffic. This is gonna be a while.
Welcome to the Crisis Cafe.
Thanks to help from around Calgary, we have supplies for everyone.
All right, guys, we got a 5-foot sub here, courtesy of Subway. Dig in.
Think fresh, eat fresh. Demolition on 5A Street. Clean up on 4A Street.
Demolition on 2nd Ave.
Demolition cleanup on 3rd Street. Garbage haul, where's that?
General labor on 9,000.
Finish this 5-foot sub.
Sunnyside, 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 Sunnyside.
In this project, we created 2 pieces of theater that were outside the school realm. We created one with teens from the community, and that was driven by the fact that they were the grade 6s in Sunnyside the previous year for the most part. And then we wanted to create a piece where we brought in the adults. In this case, it turned out to be adults and kids in the community.
Hello, is anyone in there? This one's clear. Hello, is anyone in there? This one's clear. Hello, is anyone in there? This one's clear. Hello, is anyone in there?
What's all the racket?
Evacuate. The flood's
For what?
coming.
What
The flood's coming.
The flood?
Yeah, we
Where?
gotta evacuate.
Okay.
Sunnyside, it's time to evacuate.
Helen, there's quite a few of us, and the chicken's not for dinner, it's actually a guest. Come on, everybody, this is my sister, Helen.
Hi, welcome.
Come on in, come on in. Hey guys, come on, let's go down to Crescent Heights and look over.
We'll have breakfast later. Oh my gosh, look at the river! Oh. Are those the geranium pots from Memorial?
Our house looks like it's in a lake. Look at the police cruiser, it's almost covered.
I think I gotta go and get a lot more supplies.
Some of the parents were just a little bit nervous that we would really dig into the theme of the flood a year later. And so they wanted to make sure that this process, this residency, and the research that would go on ahead of it would be sensitive to the possibility that kids might surface traumatic experiences. And in the end, I don't know that happened too much. Talking with the other volunteers and with the Tricksters themselves, who were leading the various grade levels through the residency, that didn't seem to be a big issue, did it?
It didn't. It didn't surface in the process of building the show at all.
At the time when the production was taking place, we were experiencing a lot of rain in Calgary, and that would trigger for some of the kids some sort of anxiety responses, probably some stress, reliving of some of that trauma, which probably was weighing heavy on the parents as well, because they were probably thinking, if my kids participate in this, will they be re-traumatized? You know, we've just been through a year, we got through it, we're surviving as a community and as families, but here we are again, potentially sort of bringing this up. and will it be a problematic kind of experience for kids? But what I saw and what was demonstrated in the drama was absolutely not. It gave the kids an opportunity for empowerment, to master their experiences, to be in control in a situation a year previously where they hadn't been in control. Things were kind of coming at them, they were being asked to leave their homes, and they were able to tell the story from their perspective and to show their strength and their survivorship.
And then the water came for us.
Better turn on the news.
I can't believe I have to say this, but the river is closed.
Don't be a Menchie now! It's kind of fun canoeing around Sunnyside. A fish! We should have brought our fishing rods. We got the installation in. This ball is ready to go. Welcome to the Crisis Cafe. We have hamburgers and Mountain Dew.
To actually handle what had happened in the flood and to have a way to grieve about things and to have that feeling of just because it's over and things are getting back to normal, we're still that community and that we really appreciate that spirit and the sense of we help each other out and that's in this community, which is just amazing.
World-class technology, we will know the instant the river reaches a dangerous level.
Ah, the river's too high! Wait, the river's too high! We have to do something!
In order to
divert water,
we are looking into the possibility of
building a tunnel!
Mother Nature deserves our
respect!
We have to find the balance between
land and water!
The balance between
nature and society! Do you have anything to say, Mayor Nenchi? Yes, we're gonna protect all of Calgary.
We have to say something about our mayor because these kids all know Nenchi and Nenchi's role in this whole flood, right?
Right. I mean, in the show there, I think there were 4 Nenchi cameos, playing, 4 different kids playing Nenchi in places, and the fact that Nenchi came and watched the whole show and played one of his own cameos and performed in the show was fantastic.
You're being very rude. He's kind of a big deal, you know. Check his Twitter account, lots of followers. Wake up! I'm really embarrassed. I'm sorry. Wake up! Apparently they don't care about Twitter.
Well, I guess if you're all sleeping, we're just gonna have to eat all the candy ourselves.
Our mayor was there and he was at our school and he came down and he sat with all of us and it was really cool that he did that, and it just went to show that our city isn't like, it has like 1 million people in it and it's really big, but at the same time we're just a really big community and So I guess that was a really good thing about the play.
To be incorporating him through these cameo performances, and then to have him take the space, and that added to the electricity. We wondered, what will he do? Will he just give a speech, or will he do something else?
No, at various ages and.
4 days. They did that in 4 days. Well done, all of you. Okay, I have to tell you, this is for the adults in the room. You don't listen to those, okay? A whole year, I had been keeping it together. And this is what reduced me to a weepy mess? Wow, well done. If you ever need a lesson about the power of art to tell us the truth, you just got it here. And this was an incredible thing. All of you, well done.
I really believe myself in the power of art to take difficult and often traumatic subject matter and transform it into something that's not only palatable and easier to deal with, but something that's really beautiful. So I was hoping that through this project that could come out of it as well.
In 2013, the water fell and rised out of the river, spilling the banks of the Bow and engulfing Calgary. Thanks to social media, the world was able to see the faces of the flood. And the rubber boot army had assembled. The rubber boot army cleaned up Calgary. YYC is reopened for business.
I would agree that the experiential process of theater arts would allow them to kind of demonstrate and tell their story in a way that maybe they don't even have the words or the language for. They're able to act it out and be part of that experience and think about, what's the impact of being the flood, hitting the bridge, hitting the house, seeping up through the basement. Those are things that kids think about, in their own world and in their own kind of perspectives, but sometimes they don't have the language to be able to talk about that. So actually acting out what it was like to be the flood was hugely impactful for them, for their understanding and their resolution of what those experiences have been in their lives.
Because I've got the biggest boots. There's no need to panic. Wait. I said there's no need to panic.
I'm a volunteer too,
Wow, you're milking it a lot more than in rehearsal. Together, we cleaned up Sunnyside!
Up on Gangnam Style!
my sense of that is that our process is really about play. And even though this is what we're playing, play itself is inherently safe. You know, everyone in a play situation has a fair amount of control over how it gets played and what's going on. And you're not building the story in a linear fashion. It's more about, you know, let's create some movement patterns. Let's put those movement patterns in context and gradually build it. And so what came out of that is a bit of a playful look at it all, while still being sympathetic to the sensitivities of the story.
And I'm sitting here in Sunnyside, in a place where a lot of people were badly hurt by the flood, and I'm using that word celebrate. And how do we celebrate something that was so awful for so many of us? Well, we do exactly what you guys just did. We celebrate the community spirit that got us through it. We celebrate one another. We celebrate our own hands and hearts and minds and souls, and I hope that all of us will do that together as we move forward together. Thank you so much for inviting me today.
So my experience of being part of this process really helped to identify for me the importance of theater arts and how that really can provide kids with a different experience. To sometimes in childhood development, we try out different ways of being to be able to deal with stressors in our lives and deal with trauma like a flood. And this allowed them to be able to show their survivorship skills and show that as a community they had the support of their parents. They even had Mayor Nenshi there, who was a real champion for them. And it really demonstrated to me a huge impact on their self-esteem and who those children are going to be as future contributing members of society. They've had a great experience.